LA is on fire. And it is all due to negative externalities of these corporations. Because you have just fucking climate change in general. You have these fucking oil companies who knew decades ago that this was the exact consequence of their activities. And they continue to do so anyway. And we have had more multi-billion-dollar natural disasters in 2023 than ever before. 2024 will be higher when the calculations are all done. And you know what? 2025 probably ain't going to look so good either. And we're all paying for these costs of these companies dumping trillions of tons of CO2 into the air that they never paid for, and they got all the profit from, and they have no accountability for that. While we really watch.
Not only did they not pay for it, we paid them to do it. We have subsidized the shit out of them with our tax dollars for a century at this point. So it's not even that they've had no consequences; it's that we've rewarded them for doing it, and we've got no say in it.
And to also speak to the fires. I don't know specifically that this caused these fires in California right now, but those fucking AIs I was talking about, they consume a shitload of water. Every time you type something in a chat GPT, that's half a liter of water consumed. These things consume massive amounts of water that definitely, it's going to be a crisis as climate change continues to get more and more insufferable and water becomes more and more at a premium. We're going to be looking at all of these decisions that we're making and just fucking hate ourselves in my lifetime, most likely.
Someone help me out here. Make sure I'm correct on this, but California is a state known for having just tons and tons of water, right? Just fresh water all over the place.
Yeah, it's basically, the scene in Dune where he's like, "Oh yeah, my planet's covered in water," and she can't believe it. That's California, right? From what I understand.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay, and being from Minnesota and throwing a little Reagan slander out here too. Reagan's policies in the 80s killed Midwest dairy farms, right? My family farm included thousands of them went under during the Reagan recession and just Reagan's horrible agricultural policies. And it drove all of that market share to corporations because that's what Reagan did with fucking everything, right? And all those corporations, for some reason, took dairy farming, which consumes tons and tons of water, and put it in fucking California. Like, we're in the Midwest. We've got all of the water here, right? Like, all of it. Like, we've got the big lakes, we've got little lakes, we've got all the water. And they put it out in California. And I've driven by some of these dairy farms. That happy cows come from California bullshit is those places are disgusting. I mean, it's just huge dirt lots. And another thing that we subsidize the shit out of. And again, it's horrible environmental impacts, especially on California and in places where there already isn't enough water. And they have to pump the water out of the ground, and then we're subsidizing it because nobody drinks milk anymore, and they'd have to sell it at a loss, and they'd all go under if we didn't subsidize it. It is just going to be another one of those things. I don't know why California ended up with so much of the shit that they shouldn't have, going back to your water consumption of, all the tech shit that's out there as well.
I also want to add, Dr. Wagon, this happened before Reagan, but California also stole Minnesota's basketball team. Like, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about here, if you ever wonder why the Los Angeles Lakers are called the Lakers, like there's no lake anywhere near Los Angeles, probably, it's because they used to be in Minneapolis, and and so the Great Lakes and everything. The name made sense over there, but now it's just a name that no one really cares. Like, why is it sound? It's like Utah Jazz, like very weird sounding name if you think about it. But Trump. Go ahead.
The Stars, the North Stars, our hockey team, our old hockey team, is now the Texas Stars.
Yeah. Oh well, that one at least works.
At least that one, yeah, but
at least that one works.
We get a halfway decent sports team. If the Vikings ever win the Super Bowl, they'll get sold immediately. I'm certain of it. They probably lose every year because they're afraid that they'll get sold off.
I love that. Oh God, the Arizona Vikings coming soon. But they another one with the Vancouver Grizzlies went to Memphis, became the Memphis Grizzly. Weird ass name. All right, so with the firefighter thing or the fire thing, I don't know what to talk about first. I guess I'll go with Trump first. Did you guys see Trump tweet about this, about the wildfires?
No, I actually hadn't.
All right, here we go, folks. 4 more years of this. Can't wait. Governor Gavin Newsom, he loves to call Newsom. But I just like, okay, I'm not going to spend this whole time whining about Trump, I promise. But the guy's a 6-year-old. It's just like, I mean, like, say what you want. Yeah, right. Like if you had a 6-year-old who acted like Donald Trump, you would be admonishing that 6-year-old and punishing him and correcting him and advising him, sending him to counseling like every single day till you fix this behavior. But millions of people think this guy should be in charge. It's just kind of wild. But Trump says Governor Gavin Newsom refused to sign the water restoration declaration put before him that would have allowed millions of gallons of water from excess rain and snow and melt from the north to flow daily into many parts of California, including the areas that are currently burning in a virtually apocalyptic way. He wanted to protect an essentially worthless fish called a smelt by giving it less water. It didn't work, but didn't care about the people of California. Now the ultimate price is being paid. I will demand that this incompetent governor allow beautiful, clean, fresh water to flow into California, all caps. He is to blame for this. On top of it all, no water for fire hydrants, not firefighting planes, a true disaster. Now, I don't know the particulars and everything, what Trump's talking about with the diverting water to save a fish called the smelt. He had never heard of smelt before. I like what Trump does, that kind of stuff right there. He always does that. He did.
Have you heard this? Have you heard this fish called smelt?
Yeah.
Just hearing it now.
He's like, the reason I won the election was because of groceries. A word called groceries. It means buy. It means like food you buy. It's just great. The guy's a wonder all the time. But this immediately goes into like right-wing culture war shit every time. And it's like, this is why they're so difficult to actually beat, because it doesn't matter what happens. They are going to blame. Now, once again, maybe Newsom did fuck shit up. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that, he didn't, say, oh, you can't use water. Sorry, we're not going to allow that for the firefighters there. In fact, they are a little too liberal with this in that, and I'm sure you guys saw this. For those of you who hadn't heard, we have firefighters doing, valiant work trying to put these fires out. And a lot of these firefighters are slaves. Like prison, like so the 13th Amendment, 30%
of them.
Say what?
30% of them are 30%.
Yeah, so 13th Amendment abolished slavery mostly, except for people who are convicted of a crime. You can enslave them all you want. Now, the states usually pay like 5 cents a day or something. It's a slave. Like that's what it is. And the most insulting part about it is that these prisoners are in this program to fight fires, to save your life. When they get out of jail, they cannot be actual firefighters. They do not qualify for it because of their prison record. It's a real, like Trump said, apocalyptic dystopian shit. And it's just sad. Like it's just sad seeing all the devastation going on around here. And biggest one I meant to mention is that the Republicans will always find a way to distract from actual issues like what you guys are talking about, like the diverting from water from places that need it, or corporations getting involved in our infrastructure and not doing a good enough job. How many times do we have to see this? We saw this with the power grid in Texas. We saw it with the power grid in California. We're seeing with wildfires every fucking year. And now I saw, what's his name? Congressman Tim Burchett, where he said, I guess it doesn't matter how diverse your firefighters are if they can't stop a fire. Like California wildfires, black people's fault. Like this is just, it's par for the course for everything Republicans do, and we're gonna be stuck with it for a very long time. It's just kind of depressing.
It is really annoying. So good friend of the show, Mark Louderback, popped in here, and I want to address his comment because it drives a particular concern that I think gets confused a lot by most Americans. So he says, are you guys paying attention to California politics at all? The release of water they did last year, the lack of building reservoirs. Can you guys read something outside your echo chamber? And I get comments like this all the time. It's like, yo, didn't you see this dumb thing California did? Bro, I fucking hate California. I despise California. Of all of the states, like if I were to rank the states in terms of how much I personally like them and their politics in general, California would be near the bottom of the fucking barrel. Not quite Florida, but like it's terrible. I hate it. And people are like, conservatives are always like, oh, well, California has all these problems, don't you know? And I'm like, yeah, I don't fucking support that either. They have terrible fucking housing policy. They have a lot of terrible environmental policies. In fact, oftentimes they use environmental concerns as a reasoning for actually stopping progress on a bunch of other issues, such as housing, such as human rights, such as all these different things. And they do this constantly. Kamala fucking Harris, we're talking about the firefighters. She drug her feet in order to keep people in prison who could have otherwise been released, in order to keep them working as firefighters.
Yep.
It's fucked. They're fucked over there. I hate them. But you know what, conservatives? The one thing I will say is they make more fucking money than you. With all of their problems, with their raging fucking wildfires, with their constant droughts, with the fact that at any moment the entire state could just fall off into the Pacific Ocean if the fucking earthquakes happen the right way. It still is the economic powerhouse of this country with all of that. So, yeah, you know, like, you're right. I'll totally buy you. There's many reasons to criticize California and Gavin Newsom and that style of democratic politics. But even with all that, they're still kicking your ass at your own game. So, like, I really don't know what the conservative problem necessarily is with California, given, you know, if you're going to be the richest person rules, right? They must have done it right. California's the richest fucking state by a wide margin.
And you look at this, like, California is like considered like this liberal bastion, but there's more Republicans in California than there are Republicans in Texas. Like, there's a lot of Republicans in California, and a good swath of the state is very conservative. And then you also have all of that money. That's a lot of lobbying money. You think about all the tech companies and all the ag companies that are out there that make billions and billions of dollars. California is the sixth largest economy on the planet, not in the country, on the planet. And so, yeah, they have a lot of shit influencing their politics. And yeah, the rich people who tend to vote a little bit more liberal out there in Hollywood and shit like that still don't want the poor people moving in next to them. That doesn't change. When you're rich, you want to help the poor as long as they stay, you know, over there. And so, like,
that actually describes California politics to a fucking T. We are rich. We want to help the poor as long as we don't have to fucking see them. That is exactly California politics.
And so yeah, in California does a lot of things really well. It's a beautiful state, a gorgeous state. You know, when it's not completely on fire, and there's just a lot of
it's not completely on fire. Another hilarious California bit right there.
Yeah, it's you know, it is a great state. I do one of the best vacations I've ever taken was through California. And it's they do a lot of policy really well too, but they do a lot of policy really, really poorly. And again, there's a lot of influences and a lot of money influencing that policy. And the worst fucking Democrats tend to be from fucking, I mean, Nancy Pelosi obviously we hate her more than conservatives hate her. So that's where we're at with that.
California also has produced Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan off the top of my head. So yeah, it has a lot of penance to pay, if you ask me, with California. Also, like you mentioned, go ahead, Motherwell.
I just wanted to say on that, the Mark's comment there about do you not pay any attention to California politics, and like you need to get outside your echo chamber. And as a content creator, shit like this about people in the comments telling us what we need to do and what we should be paying attention to. And like, do you all realize, like, it's really easy to sit there and armchair quarterback content creation. And I get that, obviously. And we're here to try to provide all of you with the content that you want to consume. Like, we're doing this because people listen and pay attention to us. But also, I get hundreds of comments and messages a day asking people for me to cover what is important to them, what they think is important. And a lot of it is important. I'm not saying California politics are very important. What's going on in some school district in Iowa is very important. Like, all of that shit is very important. But we're people. We are human people who cannot possibly know all of this stuff. And then we still have lives that, you know, like, are important to us too, just on a regular day-to-day basis that doesn't involve being omnipotent, you know, journalists. And we're not the Wall Street Journal. We're not the New York Times, where we have teams of people researching this stuff for us. It's just us. So, like, give a little bit of a break when you know you come out with the echo chamber spouting off and shit like that.
After Wagon, my favorite is whenever I'll make a video, like say I make a video about, I don't know, marginal tax rates or something, and someone will comment, and the comment will be simply just a few words. It'll say, Now do one on welfare fraud. I love those comments because I always respond, you fucking do it. You want to see this content so badly. You have a phone. You have the same app I do. Nobody is stopping you from going out there and talking about this issue that's very important to you. Make the video, tag me in it. If you get 13 views, which is my prediction of what you'll get, I will be 5 of them. I will watch this video over and over again just to pump up your stats there. But yeah, like stop. Typical conservatives just too lazy to do the work themselves, asking other people to put in the hard work for them. And also what you mentioned there, Dr. Wagon, about how there's more Republicans in California than in Texas. You know, there's a ton of Republicans there. It's not going to get you anywhere because Republicans don't understand per capita stats. They don't get it, right? It doesn't compute to them. It's like whenever you talk about Black Lives Matter and they'll say something like, well, you know, the cops actually killed more white people than black people. Say, okay, all right, where are we going to go here? I mean, it is just kind of obnoxious there.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. It has been an excellent return here in 2025, and I hope you take our New Year's resolution seriously. If you want to hear from an awesome content creator that you haven't heard of before, our guest, Off the Wagon, how can people find you?
Yeah, it's just OFF_JAWAGGON on pretty much all the platforms, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, although I don't get paid for this except for video views and some other stuff. So if you follow me on TikTok or YouTube, I do get paid for you watching that content. So I always appreciate that there. But obviously, you listen to the content. That's why we do what we do. So if Instagram's where you consume, I appreciate that too. I've got a website, offthewagon.com, where you can get merch, and we've got a podcast as well that John's been on. Hopefully we can get TJ and John on there together soon, or maybe just TJ by himself so he can have a little bit of the spotlight to himself. But that's the Let Them Eat Toast podcast. That's every week on Tuesday. You can get that wherever you get your podcast or on my YouTube channel in video form like this as well. So yeah, check me out if you like what I have to say here.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Off the Wagon. Would love to be on your podcast sometime. Sorry I couldn't make it the last show. But yeah, folks, thanks for watching the show. We appreciate you checking in on John reminded me the first episode of the year for the Left Wing. And stay tuned for the next 12 months. We guarantee you will be seeing a whole lot more hypocrisy, lying, insults, and casual use of violent language. We got that for you all 12 months of 2025. You heard it here first. Catch you later, folks. All right. Good stuff.